Hello viewers, welcome to CEC Gurukul lectures. In today's lecture, I shall be discussing relative configuration of stereoisomers, that is D and L nomenclature of optical isomers, that is enantiomers, and erythro and thrio nomenclature for diastereomers. As you already know that enantiomers turn the direction of rotation of plane polarized light in different directions. That is, D enantiomer will rotate the path of plane polarized light in right hand direction, that is clockwise direction, whereas levorotatory will turn the direction of rotation of plane polarized light by in left hand direction, that is it is levorotatory. We use prefixes D and L to designate the dextrorotatory and levorotatory isomers. The sign of rotation D, that is small d or small l, does not indicate the actual configuration of the compound. So it is essential to specify configuration at each chiral center to explain completely the structure of the molecule. So we have to now understand what is the importance of configuration. A stereoisomer is recognized by its configuration and not by its property of rotation. That is, a D-glucose will be recognized that the OH on the highest numbered asymmetric carbon is on the right hand side and not by the fact that it is dextrorotatory. We find that the most biologically important molecules are chiral and hence are optically active. Often living systems contain only one of all the possible stereochemical forms of a compound. In some cases, one form of a molecule is beneficial and the other enantiomer is poisonous. This I have already told you in my previous lectures, the example of the drug thalidomide. And we also know the enzyme substrate interaction also depends on the configuration of the substrate and the enzyme, that is the key, when we talk of the key and the lock mechanism for enzyme actions. So therefore we say that configuration plays a very important role when we have to talk of the stereochemistry of the molecule. So this configuration to stereoisomers can be assigned by following ways. That is relative configuration. In relative configuration we use DL notations. Then we have erythro and thrio notations, and these notations are used to give the relative configuration of diastereomers. And then we have absolute configuration, which is indicated by RS notations. So in today's lecture, let me start with relative configuration. That means relative configuration is indicated by prefixes capital D and capital L. Till 1951, no concept of absolute configuration was there. And Emil Fischer, as early as 1891, assigned relative configuration to sugars on the basis of positioning of OH in glyceraldehyde, and he gave capital D and capital L to indicate the relative configuration. So what does relative configuration mean? Relative configuration indicates the arrangement of atoms or groups in space of a stereoisomer of a compound relative to atoms of groups of another compound chosen as an arbitrary standard, and this is what Fischer did. It was assumed by Fischer that the D enantiomer, that is we are talking here of the optically active isomer, enantiomer of glyceraldehyde having the OH group on the right hand side has D configuration. So this is what Fischer assumed. He correlated the dextrorotatory nature of the molecule with the position of the OH on the chiral carbon. And if the OH was on the right hand side, he assigned it configuration capital D. And that L enantiomer of glyceraldehyde having the OH group on the left hand side was given configuration capital L. So glyceraldehyde was chosen as an arbitrary standard for the D and the L notations of sugars. As you can see on your screens, we have written D, capital D, plus in bracket and then glyceraldehyde. So in this molecule you can see that OH is, or this molecule is chiral, that is central carbon, which is expressed by at the point of intersection of horizontal and vertical lines is chiral, since it is attached to 4 different groups, that is aldehyde group CHO, a hydroxyl group OH, a hydrogen and a hydroxy methyl group. And when we look at the orientation of OH and H, we find that the OH here is on the right hand side of the horizontal line. So it was assigned configuration capital D, whereas the other isomer in enantiomer in which the OH was on the left hand side and was levorotatory was assigned configuration capital L. So what do we mean by capital D and capital L? Capital D indicates that the position of OH in glyceraldehyde is on right hand side of the horizontal line, and capital L indicates that the position of OH is on the left hand side in glyceraldehyde, and all other sugars are now assigned configuration in reference to glyceraldehyde. And please don't confuse capital D, instead of writing plus, sometimes we write small d here. So capital D refers to relative configuration and small d refers to optical activity. So what do now, if I put it in other words, D and L notations indicate the relative configuration of highest numbered asymmetric carbon with reference to glyceraldehyde taken as an arbitrary standard. So that means now we have to assign configuration, say, to sugar molecules, that is whether they belong to a D series or they belong to a L series. So for that we'll have to follow a certain procedure. So what do we do for that case? That when we are assigning configuration to monosaccharides, we have to first write the acyclic form of the molecule as a Fischer projection. So in Fischer projection, what do? We take the longest carbon chain as the vertical chain with the highest oxidized end at the top. So if the monosaccharide is an aldose, the aldehyde group must be written on the top. So this is what you can see here. That is, I have taken up aldopentose sugar here. So when we talk of an aldopentose, so when we write it in Fischer's projection, which I have already told you in my previous lecture, the vertical line is indicating that these are the longest straight carbon chain. That is to say, the longest continuous carbon chain is written as the vertical line with the highest oxidized end at the top. So in aldose, CHO is the highest oxidized end, it is put on the top. And these are the point of intersections are representing chiral centers. So this molecule has 3 chiral centers, 1, 2 and 3. And the horizontal lines are representing the bonds which are going coming towards the observer, and vertical lines represent the bonds which are going away from the observer. And now if it is a ketose, that is, the sugar has hydroxyl groups along with a ketonic group. So in that case, the ketonic group must be at the second carbon from the top. So ketonic group is CO group. So we will put it at the second position, because the highest oxidized end, we have to give the highest position to the most oxidized end. So in ketosis, carbonyl group, that is keto group, is most oxidized. So it is given position 2, it cannot have position 1. Whereas in case of an aldehyde, it is given position 1. So this is how first you will write the molecule in Fisher's projection before assigning the D and the L configuration. And now we know sugars belong to two series, that is the D series and the L series. And D series normally are the sugars which occur naturally, that is, they occur in nature. Now what I mean by D series, D sugars or L sugars, we mean that all L sugars have the OH on the chiral carbon furthest from the carbonyl group on the left hand side of the horizontal line. So see, this is, you have to take glyceraldehyde as a standard, and when we are taking glyceraldehyde as a standard, we find that the OH here is on the left hand side. And when we compare, so that means, in other words, I can also say L sugars will be those which on degradation will give us L-glyceraldehyde, or they are the sugars which can be obtained from L-glyceraldehyde. So that means when we are carrying out a reaction, we are carrying it out at an aldehydic group. We are not touching this part of the molecule. So that means this part of the molecule is the basic unit which is present in all monosaccharides. So when we compare this with this, what you have to remember, now we will number it from top to bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4. The second and the third carbons are chiral carbons. So that means the highest numbered asymmetric carbon is the third carbon, and this carbon is the chiral carbon which is also furthest away from the aldehydic group, that is the carbonyl group, and in this the OH is on the left hand side, so it has L configuration. So this is L-glyceraldehyde, and erythrose, which is a tetrose, aldotetrose, it has L configuration. Why L configuration? It could have also had D configuration, but it is having L configuration, that is the OH on the highest numbered asymmetric carbon is on the left hand side. And all these sugars have OH on the right hand side of the horizontal line at the highest numbered chiral carbon. So this again, here I have taken the enantiomer of L-erythrose, that is D-erythrose, and here we've indicated, as you can see with this arrow, that this OH here is on the right hand side. So D-erythrose will belong to the D series and L-erythrose will belong to the L series. So similarly here I have shown another example, that is, we are talking of glucose here, and I have shown two enantiomers. In one, the OH is on the right hand side, so this OH, being on the right hand side, is indicated by capital D, whereas small d is indicating the direction of rotation, that glucose will rotate plane polarized light in right hand direction. So here we are now talking of glucose, which is again having L configuration, right? Here this is a misprint, this will be again, so this will be, an L indicates here that this molecule is levorotatory, but we know that glucose is dextrorotatory, right? So D is indicating, capital D is indicating the configuration, that is the position of the OH on the highest numbered asymmetric carbon, and small d is indicating the optical rotation of the molecule. Now, the thing that we have to keep in mind, that small d and small l signs which are in the brackets refer to the direction of optical rotation, whereas capital letters D and L indicate the configurational relationship. And it is not necessary that if a molecule has configuration capital D, it will be dextrorotatory. So, we can ask you a question in the exams that fructose is having D configuration and it is dextrorotatory. Prove whether the statement is true or false. What you have to remember, that capital D is referring to the stereochemistry, that is, it is referring to relative configuration, whereas small d is referring to optical rotation. And we know that fructose belongs to D series because it has OH on the right hand side on the highest numbered asymmetric carbon. But at the same time, we also know that fructose is levorotatory. So that means it is not necessary that if the molecule is having configuration capital D, it will be dextrorotatory. So here again I have shown that there are certain compounds which have same configuration, and if they are having same configuration, they may have different signs of rotation. So what we mean here is that, see, glucose, when we talk of D-glucose, and in this D-glucose means I am talking of the capital D here, it has OH on the right hand side at the highest numbered asymmetric carbon. Similarly, fructose also has OH on the right hand side at the highest numbered asymmetric carbon, whereas as you can see that we put small d in the brackets here and small l in the brackets here. That means glucose is dextrorotatory and fructose is levorotatory. So even if the molecules have same configuration, it is not necessary that they will have same optical rotation, that is the angle, the direction of rotation will be same. And the next thing that you have keep in mind is that compounds having different configurations may have same signs of rotation. For example, we see that glyceraldehyde, L-glyceraldehyde, in which the OH is on the left hand side of the horizontal line, so it has L configuration, whereas this lactic acid has OH on the right hand side, so it has D configuration. So the configuration of these two molecules is different. Nevertheless, they have the same optical rotation. So when I mean saying here same optical rotation, I do not mean the specific rotation. What I mean here is that they will rotate the path of plane polarized light in the same direction. So glyceraldehyde is levorotatory, as well as lactic acid is levorotatory, in spite of having different configurations. So we know that when we talk of enantiomers, what are enantiomers? Enantiomers are stereoisomers which are non-superimposable mirror images of each other, which you can see here, that is D-glucose, that is capital D-glucose and capital L glucose. They are non-superimposable mirror images of each other, and the alphabets given in brackets indicate the direction of rotation. So now this is what we know from here, from this slide, that what are enantiomers? That enantiomers are stereoisomers which are non-superimposable mirror images of each other. Now we will go on to the DL configuration of amino acids. So when we talk of DL configuration of amino acids, so we can talk with certainty about the D and the L configuration of monosaccharides and amino acids. We can talk of D and L configuration for amino acids because enantiomers of each alpha amino acids can be designated by D and L because we can compare their structure with capital D and capital L glyceraldehyde. So what you can see on your screens is the structure of L-glyceraldehyde, and in L-glyceraldehyde we find that the OH is on the left hand side. Similarly, in L-alanine the amino group is on the left hand side. Now we can modify the definition here for capital D and capital L slightly, and we can say that a molecule will have a capital L configuration if the highest numbered asymmetric carbon is attached to a OH group, as in case of glyceraldehyde, or is attached to an electronegative group, as in case of an alanine. So here we are indicating the positions of OH, that is in glyceraldehyde OH is on the left hand side, and in amino acids amino group is on the left hand side. And here I have compared the relative configurations of two molecules, that is glyceraldehyde and alanine, because glyceraldehyde is the simplest monosaccharide which is optically active, and in amino acids, alpha amino acids, the alanine is the simplest alpha amino acid which is optically active. We use now L-serine shows the same relative configuration as that of glyceraldehyde, and since it shows the same relative configuration as L-glyceraldehyde, the configuration of amino acids is determined with respect to serine taken as an arbitrary standard. So what I mean here is, like, if we compare the structures of glyceraldehyde with serine, and here we've taken the L enantiomer, the L structure of the molecules, what we find that the lower part in case of glyceraldehyde has CH2, CHOH, and in this OH is on the left hand side. Similarly, in L-serine we have CH2OH, CH, and then we have amino group on the left hand side. So we say this structure of serine can be related to glyceraldehyde, hence serine is taken as a standard when we assign relative configurations to amino acids. And now you have to keep in mind that all amino acids in proteins have S configuration except cysteine, which has R configuration. Here I am talking of the respective absolute configuration, or we can also say L configuration, that amino acids have capital L configuration except cysteine, which has R configuration, and all naturally occurring sugars have D configuration. So as I've already said that distereomers, let me first discuss very briefly what are enantiomers. What we've discussed till now are, when we are talking of the D and the L form of glucose, we are talking of enantiomers. And we know enantiomers are non-superimposable mirror images of each other, and they are optically active. And when we talk of diastereomers, these are stereoisomers which differ in configuration at one chiral carbon. And how do we now relate, or how do we give them configuration? When we talk of a relative configuration, the two older prefixes are still being used to distinguish diastereomers, which are threo and the erythro. I shall be continuing with the relative configuration of diastereomers, that is the trio and the erythroforms, in my next lecture. Thank you so much.